Hi, this is Ian McKell with Infinite Eight Industries, and today we are going to discuss human AI OS and bridging the human AI trust with non-agentic AI. So let's go ahead and dive into the presentation. So there are three specific areas that we're going to cover concerning not only human AI OS and its own and our own methodologies concerning our relationship with AI and what is proper and stable in production, but we also will answer some of the more subtle questions concerning the best way to think about setting up and creating infrastructure that you can rely on that AI touches. So the first thing is to create bounded projects. That's probably the most important thing, to narrowly define your scope, because otherwise you'll just be spending infinite tokens and you'll just create endless projects if you don't create some type of scope around what it is that you want to accomplish with your project. Also leave some room in there for future scope of what you believe your organization or your projects are going to become, so that there's room to grow into that. In addition to that, you want to include edge cases. So think about all the different possible occurrences that could impact your project, and you want to include all of those narrow use cases. If it's an application, what are all the different ways that a customer could potentially utilize your project? If you are selling physical goods, what are all of the global geopolitical factors that could impact that? And then also, you want to make sure that there's a consensus within your organization, within your support group, concerning the bounds of the project, so that you don't go beyond it, that more resources aren't consumed than are necessary. So that touches on bounded projects. Second, decreasing complexity is important for stabilizing the AI projects. If you have 3 or 4 AI models that are providing inputs, then you're even more likely to gain erroneous outputs just because of the number of inputs, right? So you want to decrease the inputs in order to ensure that you're optimizing the accuracy of the outputs. You also want to decrease the requirements, which automatically would decrease your inputs, but also there may be downstream APIs, there may be downstream algorithms, or downstream connected applications that have to fire off for you to get your end product. And the more endpoints, or the more information or algorithms, or the more code or the more applications that you have that are integrating into your pipeline, the more noise that is also going to enter into your pipeline. So decreasing the requirements helps, and also just decreasing the number of steps. If you could accomplish something in one step as opposed to utilizing 8 steps, for example, there may be something that is deterministic that you could accomplish in one step that may take more engineering up front, but overall it'll be more cost efficient than if you had an agent running in a loop and it has to run for 2 hours before it accomplishes something that, if you engineered it, it could be accomplished within seconds. Third is using AI to build and not yield, and I'll explain that in further detail. First, you want to treat AI like an architect and not like a table server. And I didn't mean to capitalize table server and not capitalize architect. So architects, you'll have to forgive me. But you want to treat AI as an architect. An architect, you're not going to come in and ask an architect to clean your floor. You're not going to ask an architect to get your shoes out the closet. You're not going to ask an architect to help with your plumbing. You're not going to ask an architect to help you with your deck, right? That's something that would happen at other levels. Um, if an architect is capable of building a whole home, not just building a wall or putting in the window. So you hire an architect when there are big jobs. The architect comes in one time and helps you build your home. If you want another big job, like adding on an additional room or building a guest house, then you might call the architect again. But otherwise, there's other people that you will call rather than the architect. Okay. You're not going to treat the architect like a table server. Like every single time that you need something, you're going to raise your hand and ask for service. So that by itself means that you would be spending less, but you would still be spending, right? Like there still are architects today. They still make a good living, but they don't make as much money as they could if they were doing every single thing, but then they wouldn't be as specialized as they are. So there's benefits and a balance that needs to be had. Also, you want to plan token allocation in advance. So based on how many tokens you have with whatever plan that you may have, with whatever provider that you may use, you want to set up in advance how many tokens do you estimate that it may take for your product or for your project. So it may take, maybe through one prompt you use 100,000 tokens, and maybe you have a allocation of 1,000,000 tokens a week. All right, so that means you got 10 prompts a week to accomplish what you seek to accomplish. So that means that you have to break up the project into 10 parts. And the less complex they are, the less amount of steps that they have, the less tokens that will be needed. The more likely it is that the AI can actually finish your sub project prior to you running out of your token allocation. And do not lock the architect in their own co-design, right? So imagine that you're with another partner, another architect. You guys build a building together, and then you lock your partner, the other architect, you lock them in the home, and they have to be there forever, cleaning the home, maintaining the home, doing any type of IT infrastructure, any type of grounds work, any type of plumbing, right? Where does that happen? Not too many places. But that's what we're asking the AI. We're asking every project, we're asking the AI to help us build a project, and then we're integrating the AI with its agency, its ability to act within that within the framework of what we built. Right? We're asking it to stay there. Everything changes, right? Everything that you look at around you, eventually, as time goes by, it won't be there anymore. But we expect an agent to potentially stay in the same place for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, right? For the life of a business plus. Seems unreasonable to ask. And so our methodology is to utilize the AI as an architect, that can help us to build a building, and we can do our own plumbing or go find a human to help us with the plumbing, right? Or some type of other asset. We can maintain our own grounds, right? So we just have to think about utilizing AI for the things that it's most capable of, which is high cognition. Not necessarily the low cognition things like making templates, things that could be done one time, but AI doesn't have to stay in the loop to keep doing that, right? Just utilize the AI for how many ever weeks you need in order to create all the templates that you need to get started. If you need more templates, then you can tap in. So there's this dichotomy between being a token maximalist and utilizing non-cognitive methodologies to obtain token efficiency. So thank you for your time. Hopefully this has given you insights into some of the top 3 ways to address trust and human AI collaboration through non-agentic AI. Thank you.